Okay, well, good to be with you. Mike, if you want to be at another big family reunion, I'll let you know in July in Chicago. Be there. And I have several siblings who could compete with you. So my brother Hal, who likes to put little plastic turds all over the place for my nieces and nephews, so that he, although he's a CPA, still hasn't gotten past his childhood. So, take this off, I can see you better. I was thinking of this theme of giving, and that mantra, jingle bells. It's Christmas Day in the city. When I vision that in my head, I think of that tree. There's no gifts for me under there yet, but that's the vision. I think of play, I think of celebration, I think of childhood. And I think of the gifts in my life and how that each of those gifts have woven together like a quilt, unknowingly helping to create me into the person I am. I was born the 8th of 12 children, so I do remember being stuffed into a living room. Actually, my cousin posted for Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving family dinner, and I think someone counted what Sister Kate was at, 23 kids under the age of 10? But yeah, so the 8th of 12, my sister had not yet turned 8 when I was born. So pretty close. And so often people say, how can you be energetic? How can you be giving? How can you be compassionate? All that comes from my family, from my community, from those who interacted with me from the day I was a child. I guess my greatest gift, I think, is being a sponge. I was smart enough to see goodness and kindness and just kind of soak it in. And little did I know that all those experiences would be woven together in what I know today. They say it takes a village to raise a child. When we have 12 kids, it takes a village to raise a child. But with all those experiences, sometimes, like for example, people are like, how did your mom buy clothes for all of you guys? Piece of cake. The Sullivan kids, they need clothes. We got so many clothes in our house. It's kind of like now at daybreak, all the donations coming in, that I would just say, no, I want this, I don't want this, I want this, because there's always a child to get there. There's also Mr. White. Mr. White, we lived across to the park, and so did Mr. White. And if you wanted to play tennis, Mr. White sat out there. Step into the ball, Theresa. Step in. He taught the whole neighborhood how to play tennis. It was that kind of village where we were all called to be the best we could be. I kind of thought I was smart enough to know everybody didn't grow up in a family of 12, but I thought everybody kind of grew up in that kind of environment. When I was in high school, the sisters would take us down into the inner city of Chicago. And there, we visited a nursing home. That was in the late 70s. And remember, they cured mental illness. You know how to cure mental illness? You don't know? Here. It doesn't exist. And the nursing home we visited were all the people that had gotten kicked out of the long-term mental health institutions, but no one provided them a place to go. They had kind of aged out of homelessness. So pretty much they were kind of like my daybreak friends. One of my favorites. So in high school I would go, and I realized somehow I had a gift to be able to kind of look at people and care for them, even though they had blown their brains out with drugs, or even though Robert had no more fingers left because they froze off one by one in the winter. I remember asking Joe, what do you want for Christmas? with my big high school budget, right? What do you want? I want a trophy. You want a trophy? Why do you want a trophy? Well, I never got a trophy before. I'm like, well, in our house, anything that was abandoned was fair play. And Uni was off in college. And Uni had played basketball all over creation. I did not take that big trophy. But there was a nice sized trophy in her room. And I took it and I ripped her name off. And I gave Joe this trophy. He was so excited. The trophy doesn't tell you your worth, right? But no one had ever told Joe he was special. He was kind of slow, not appreciated. But Joe was special. And as I continued to do that, that gift kept calling me and saying, I hear God saying, Theresa, you have been given so much love. Can you share that love with others? Because how do people know that God loves them when they haven't had that experience, even with humans? And sometimes they've had quite the different experience. So then I chose, with all my siblings, number 8. You're not supposed to decide anything until all the older ones decide everything, but they were pretty slow. They were going on to graduate school. They were never going to do something. So I was the first to leave home and decide to be a daughter of charity. The community of sisters whose whole focus is serving people who are poor. And so that's where I felt called. They're like, you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing it. They're like, okay. So I went off to be a daughter of charity. And I did a lot of different things. And that eventually led me to Daybreak. And I love being at Daybreak. When you think of, hopefully tonight, you're going to go home and shower. You've had a meal. I've noticed everybody here has clean clothes. Where do you go if you don't have a shower? You don't have food. You don't have a place to clean your clothes. So Daybreak, it's kind of like this. Hopefully is welcoming. I kind of felt really welcomed here. Welcoming, where everybody is welcomed, and we provide for your basic needs. And a lot of times that's humor. Every once in a while it's an F-bomb, or more than every once in a while. But when you're accepted and loved, hopefully you can address the issues that will help you make steps for change. And so people look at me and they're like, well, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just do it. And when I think of why I do it because of what I was taught, the gifts that I was given. That gift of my parents, with creativity. We always went on a vacation. How do you pay for 12 kids to go on a vacation? Well, you know what you do? You smash them all in a car. This is before car seats. And you drive to Colorado and you all fit into your uncle's shack. And you put a cooler outside and you use that as a refrigerator. We had more fun doing that. Their creativity. My mom said to me, I don't know why I give you things. Every time I give you things, you give them away. I'm like, duh. Where did I learn that from? My dad was a judge, and people would bring gifts to the house. Before Dad even got home, they were wrapped up and they had a teacher's name on it, and they were going out the next day to one of our teachers for Christmas. Everything my mom and Dad had, they gave to us, and they gave to the community. Those were the tasks. They taught me to be super flexible. When you're at Daybreak, we can have people greeting with me with compassion. Next minute, like I was going to organize again for this talk one more time, and the guy came in because we didn't have our case manager there. He's like, sister, I can't take it anymore. I've got to stop drinking. What are we going to be able to do? And he was at that point today. He was at that point. So my whole timeline shifted. Flexible. Understanding and welcoming people, no matter what kind of words they use. The most important, and why we're here today, is do you stop to listen to their story? Because we may tell stories about nutbags, about little sisters, about grief, about people not appreciating and knowing who we are. But it's when we really listen to stories, when I care enough to know your story, then I'm part of this human family. And that's what we try to do at Daybreak, is try to hear people's stories. Because it's then we can journey with them to the next step. And this comes in so many ways. I live in Pleasant Hill. A week and a half ago, another kid was shot dead 3 blocks from our house. I was thinking about that the day after. Like, what are we going to do? This has got to stop. So I walked the community and I said, can we just get together and pray and walk on the streets? Could we get together and pray and walk on the street? And I went around Sunday and I met neighbors I hadn't even talked to. Just because I zoom in and zoom out of the neighborhood. And we did. And actually, Kelly and Sister Kate joined me. We walked the neighborhood and prayed. Now, where did that idea come from? In our neighborhood in Chicago, after I had left home, we had had a couple African American families move in. They were wonderful families. Wonderful families. And one day, one of the fathers was out mowing his lawn, and someone from outside, the neighbor, came in and shot him dead. The way our community, the way my dad responded, because he was always talking to the neighbors, was he said, we will get out and we will walk every night because this family is important to us and we are a neighborhood. And then I heard my dad saying last weekend, he's up there in heaven, we've got to walk and know your neighbors. And so the gifts that my parents gave me, my siblings, Mr. White, was the gift of how to respond and reach out and build community with whatever gifts you have. And that gift has been continually giving to me. And whether people around me like it or not, it's given to them. As they come out and walk with me, or they donate to Daybreak, or February 23rd, you're all coming to the sleep out? Yay! All right, see you there. But that gift is what gives and continues in giving, because just as it took a city to raise the 12 of us, it takes a city and a community to help our brothers and sisters get out of homelessness. And the one thing I love about Daybreak is that the city of Macon is awesome, and the city of Macon supports every aspect of Daybreak and lets our brothers and sisters know they are an important part of our community. So thank you for the gift you keep giving to the city of Macon by welcoming others in. And I'll see you at Daybreak Monday morning for volunteer orientation at 9 o'clock.